In the last video on theme, we discussed how to find it by analyzing your own work. In this video, we'll learn how to amp your story's theme up to 11.
These go to 11.
Number 1, have your character exhibit the flaw through behavior. Act 2 is designed to test your hero, to put them in the place where they are uncomfortable. In the Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen's flaw is she hates people, but you can't win the Hunger Games by shooting arrows. You win it by building alliances, by making people like you, by playing the popularity game, which is something Katniss is ill-suited to do. Sure, sometimes the obstacles are just obstacles, like you gotta get over a fence or watch out for that wall of fire. But when designing the obstacles Katniss faces in the games, Suzanne Collins gives her hero challenges that force Katniss to build alliances, to gain favor. This is something you can do. When trying to figure out what obstacles your hero must face along the way, think, what will challenge their core flaw? What will bring them face to face with the lie that they believe? In Inception, Cobb frequently mixes up the dream and reality, showing us he no longer knows the difference. Sometimes others will tell him this to his face. Others express the theme by telling us the opposite. And number 2, argue the opposite. Like when Cobb enters the underground where men go to sleep using the sedatives provided by Yusuf, one of the men approaches Cobb and tells him, "We are not here to dream, we are here to wake up." By placing characters in the story that believe the lie fully, it provides the counter-argument and confuses the audience as to what the movie is really saying until we reach the end. This can be seen in the Joker's argument for chaos in the interrogation room in The Dark Knight. The Joker argues that if human beings are pushed even slightly, they will eat each other. This is something the Batman fears is true. This is why he has created a surveillance system that can see everything in Gotham. He doesn't trust the people he protects, and in the end he changes and destroys the surveillance system. Number 3, we can weave the theme in through the details. In Vertigo, Jimmy Stewart's detective Scotty causes the death of a woman he falls in love with, only to see her doppelganger walking the streets. He takes this woman in, takes care of her, gets her to fall in love with him, and spoiler alert, skip ahead 1 minute if you haven't seen it, she is the same woman. She was an actress hired to play the part of this tortured girl being haunted by the ghost of Carlotta, all part of a plan so a man could murder his wife and use Scotty to get away with it. By the end of the story, Scotty forces her into the clothes and hairstyle of the woman he fell in love with. This is his final transgression, his final subjugation of her. Scotty's subjugation of women causes both him and the woman pain. We see this theme amplified throughout the story through the details. His friend and ex, Midge, is a bra designer, someone who builds objects meant to shape and form women into objects of desire. Also, in the history of Carlotta, she was a woman tossed aside for a younger woman, and so she killed herself. The characters in this story are reflections of Scotty, men who damaged and destroyed women through subjugation. This is another way to amplify your theme. Use the characters as reflections of your hero. A reflection is a character that shares the same flaw or lie as the hero, but will have a different outcome. Reflections are a way of showing theme and showing the possible outcomes for our hero. Think every Tom Cruise movie from the 80s. In each of these movies, Tom Cruise has a best friend. Top Gun, Days of Thunder, The Color of Money, and Cocktail. All are basically the same movie. In all of these movies, Tom Cruise is cocky, really good at something, has a woman he cannot commit to, and has a best friend. In Top Gun, he's a really good fighter pilot, which is really interesting. And he has a girl he can't commit to and father issues, and he has a best friend. And in Days of Thunder, not quite as good, but still something cool. He's a race car driver, and he's good at that. And he's cocky, and he has father issues, and he's a girlfriend he can't commit to, and he has a best friend. And then we get to The Color of Money. Not quite as cool, he's just playing pool, but it's directed by Martin Scorsese, so it's all right. He's cocky, he has father issues, he has a girl he can't commit to, and a best friend, and then finally the worst of them, Cocktail, where he's good at something, but it's just bartending, and he doesn't really get your drink. He just like flips the bottles around all day, and you kind of want to smack him and take the bottle and pour your own drink. Like all the others, he's cocky, he's got father issues, he's got a girlfriend that he can't commit to, and a best friend. If you are Tom Cruise's best friend in an 80s movie, get life insurance, because somewhere around the all is lost moment, you're probably going to die horribly. In each of these movies, Tom Cruise has a best friend. Somewhere near the end of Act 2, that friend is going to suffer some horrible outcome. The friend is the reflection and shows the tragic pathway Tom Cruise is facing if he does not change his ways. You can see the theme of a story by looking at reflections and how your main character is not like the mentor, but is like the villain or shadow figure. The mentor is the higher wisdom of the character. They know more, they understand the truth. And the shadow is the personification of the lie. The shadow is the negative reflection of your hero. They may look different, but they're not really. This is why you'll often see a scene where the villain says, "You and I are a lot alike," and the hero will say, "We're nothing alike." But they are. The villain is right. The hero just cannot see it, because you can never see the lie. For example, in The Empire Strikes Back, when Luke is training in Dagobah, we hear a disturbance and Luke goes to check it out. Yoda tells him to leave his lightsaber. He won't need it, but Luke takes it anyway, proving he is not like his mentor Yoda. He enters the swamp and sees Vader. They fight and he cuts off Vader's head, but the faceplate explodes, revealing Luke's face. He is his father. He is his shadow. His anger will consume him. Jump to Return of the Jedi, and Luke is looking all emo, wearing black, choking people out. He has become his father, but he doesn't know it yet. At the end of Return, he defeats Vader and is going to kill him, but stops himself. He looks at Vader's cut off hand, shooting sparks, looks at his own robot hand. He realizes he's wearing all black. He has become his father. He tosses away the lightsaber. This moment rhymes with Yoda telling him, "You will not need this." Only by tossing the lightsaber away can he awaken his father and destroy the Empire. Luke's anger is in danger of consuming him. Now look at your own story. How is the hero unlike the mentor and like the antagonist or a shadow? Number 6, add an image system. A motif is a repeated symbol. Robert McKee calls this an image system. It is a bit more useful way of understanding symbolism than your high school English class has. An image system repeats an image or moment 3 or more times. The magic number 3 tells us this is important. At first, the image will be introduced into the story. Second, the image is repeated to show its significance. In the third moment, the image is subverted, revealing its meaning. Take this example from Psycho. Psycho uses the motif of birds to create an image system. Her name is Marion Crane. She drives a Thunderbird, and there are birds everywhere in this thing. When she meets Norman, he calls her a bird. "You eat like a bird," he says, surrounded by taxidermied birds. When Norman discovers her body, he knocks a painting of a bird off the wall. It is an odd shot that calls attention to itself. Hitchcock is telling us, look at this. This is important. In Act 3, when Marion's sister has decided to head to the Bates Motel to find Marion, she stands in front of a row of rakes in a hardware store. It is another odd shot. She is silhouetted and the wind blows through her hair. Look at the way the rakes are arranged. She's a peacock. She's the most attractive bird around. She will be the next victim. An image system gives subtle clues to the audience that are felt. Sometimes they can become clues that lead us to investigate the theme further. Like in The Big Lebowski. The Big Lebowski takes place against the backdrop of the First Gulf War, and Saddam Hussein shows up again and again, mentioned in conversation, and then he shows up in a dream sequence. The Big Lebowski debates whether it is better to rage against the world and take violent action or abide, and the dude abides. The parallels to the American invasion of Iraq show us how the theme can be taken to a deeper level and how it reflects society. So when you find your theme, weave it into the details of the story. It will resonate even more powerfully with your audience. In the next video on this Theories on Theme, we go deep. We'll see how to push this theme into the 5 layers of meaning.
Subscribe to Catharsis Machine.